Welcome back, you guys, and I can't believe it's actually happening. After all the rumors, it's been officially reported that Kawhi Leonard wants out of San Antonio. The reports say Kawhi was frustrated with how the Spurs handled his quad injury and felt that they turned on him once he went out for a second opinion. A Kawhi Leonard trade would really shift the NBA and would put the Spurs franchise in a spot they have not been in a very long time. Since 1990, the Spurs have only one season where they missed the playoffs. Yes, only one time missing the playoffs in almost 30 years. They have always had that superstar player to lead them to the playoffs, but that would be in jeopardy if Kawhi is traded. It'd be a different feel for basketball in San Antonio. Before we get into the teams, let's start with the basic facts. Kawhi wants out and has a preferred destination of the Los Angeles Lakers. This situation is interesting because while the Spurs have the obvious leverage and can trade him anywhere they want, on the other side, Kawhi also has some leverage too. The team that is trading for him is going to want some type of assurance that Kawhi will re-sign. It would be pretty bad for your franchise going into the 2020 season with lost assets and you lose an NBA superstar in free agency. That is the dilemma right now that teams outside of the Lakers are currently going through. Do we want to give up productive rookies on cheap contracts and our picks for what could be a rental? You would hope that you can convince Kawhi to resign, but anything can happen. Another thing that needs to be brought up is, will the Spurs help facilitate the next super team in their own conference? Maybe they would do it, but I can counter that by saying look at what the Cavs did last year. They traded away their star point guard to an in-conference rival. The Lakers are the preferred spot, but you gotta figure that the Spurs don't care where he wants to go and will trade him to wherever they feel they get the most value back. One of the more interesting aspects of this discussion that caused most of this situation is Kawhi's health. The guy only played 9 games this season. Is this something that is going to continue to linger onward? Will he get back to that superstar level? I am not going to use this year against him because he obviously was not at 100% and he's already proved he's a superstar, but we do need to see it again. It's been over a year since that Game 1 versus the Warriors in the conference finals. This upcoming year will most likely serve as a reminder to show everyone how great he is at playing basketball, but we need to see it from him again. Which city will that be in though? The Los Angeles Lakers, which is Kawhi's preferred spot according to reports, they have assets to work with. Lonzo, Ingram, Kuzma, and Josh Hart are all nice pieces and have value going forward. I would say Brandon Ingram has the most trade value out of any of the young Lakers core, and the one guy who could be the face of the Spurs' future. As I said earlier, if the Spurs make a trade with the Lakers, they would be helping another in-conference rival to set up the stages of a possible super team with LeBron, Kawhi, and Paul George. How it would happen is, the Lakers would have to renounce all their free agents on their roster, trade for Kawhi, then they would have about $65 million in space to sign LeBron and Paul George. Bleacher Report put up a picture saying who could beat this team, and I know somebody that could, and that is Luol Deng's contract. He is owed $37 million over the next 2 years, and are the Spurs really going to take that back? Let's just say for this video that they do. Getting Kawhi by himself or LeBron and Paul George with him would put the Lakers back in the playoff picture, which is something they haven't been in since 2013. It was not too long ago from when the Lakers had to throw out this lineup onto the court. This possible super team would make the Western Conference playoffs ridiculous and create a bigger conference imbalance. But this team would be pretty thin and not have much depth obviously. They would need another scorer. It's kind of odd that I'm thinking that a team with Kawhi, PG, and LeBron would need another scorer, but we live in a Golden State Warriors NBA, so yeah, they're going to have to add some type of scorer on the wing with those 3. They're also going to have to add some type of defensive center, maybe Nerlens Noel. He is represented by Rich Paul, which is also LeBron's agent, so that is a possibility there. The Spurs would stay competitive with LaMarcus Aldridge and whoever they get back in the trade, but man, it would be a lot different basketball-wise down in San Antonio. No team has more assets available to trade than the Boston Celtics. They have Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and a good number of draft picks to send out. For the trade to match salaries, they would also probably have to send out Marcus Morris and Aaron Baines and maybe another player. I'm sure Boston will do everything they can to try to keep Tatum as he has superstar potential. I think Jaylen Brown will make a couple all-star teams, but he might be the odd man out here and sent to the Spurs in a trade. Is Danny Ainge going to pull the trigger for what could be a one-year rental? He did not go all in for Paul George or Jimmy Butler, so it's hard to imagine him actually going through with a trade that gives up high-level rookies on a cheap contract. Now, Kawhi is better than those players when he's healthy, but we just watched a Boston team that was almost minutes away from an NBA Finals berth without Kyrie and Hayward. I am sure that is what some members of Boston's front office is thinking. Why break up what got us minutes away from the NBA Finals? We did that without Kyrie and Hayward. Once we slide those guys back into the rotation, we'll be a tougher team. They're going to be the favorites to come out the East with those guys back. But the counter argument is, you need a superstar to really put yourself into the conversation for the NBA Finals. You need another guy like Kawhi to somewhat offset two MVPs on the same team. An offense led by Kyrie, Kawhi, and Horford gives you so many options to create something efficient. Good luck putting together a defense who will be capable of defending those players. And I haven't even spoken on how nasty Boston's defense would be when you add a Defensive Player of the Year winner to it. Their current roster already has the defenders to match up with Golden State, but with Kawhi it gives you that much more flexibility to decide on matchups. As I said earlier, Kawhi has the leverage and could dip in 2019, but I have a hard time seeing a scenario where Boston can't convince him to stay. I never thought this Kawhi heel turn was even possible. I thought he was going to re-sign with the Spurs and all these rumors would go away, but here we are. The Celtics have a chance to use those assets they've been stockpiling on Kawhi. A one-year rental might be worth it because it put them right in the championship conversation. Next, we have the 76ers. If this was to happen, the trade package would probably involve a combination of Markelle Fultz, Dario Saric, Jared Bayless, Robert Covington, and their 2018 first-round pick. We saw them struggle to create offense when things broke down in the semifinals, and they need that third guy to help them, and Kawhi could be that guy. The defense would be amazing, and it would be a clean fit on offense next to Simmons and Embiid. They have the space to sign him, but I don't know, man. There's way too many questions surrounding Fultz at the moment, and the Spurs already have a point guard that can't shoot. There's simply better offers for Kawhi, but the Sixers definitely should see if the Spurs like any of their pieces. Is there a team that does not have the Celtics assets, but they will pop up and try to make a trade like the Thunder did with Paul George? The Knicks are another possible team. It has been reported that Kawhi has expressed interest in playing in New York. The offer would probably involve a combination of Tim Hardaway Jr., Frankie Smokes, another player, and their draft pick. There was a rumor going around that the Kings would be looking to send off their second overall pick in this year's draft for Kawhi. Man, if they trade their number 2 pick for a Kawhi rental, pray for the Kings' future. The NBA is going to need to bring back David Stern and stop the Kings from making that trade so they don't vomit over themselves going into the next decade. The Clippers have some assets. They have 2 lottery picks and could offer Tobias Harris and Patrick Beverley with that. The Miami Heat have some pieces. Maybe Portland or Washington will get into this. Just throwing some teams out there. And of course, the one team that he is still on, the Spurs. There's always a chance that Kawhi could say, hey, I'll take the Supermax, but it's looking like that situation can't be fixed as he does not care about the money. I think it would be cool if Kawhi ends up on the Celtics and LeBron is on the Sixers. You could mark that down as the Eastern Conference Finals if those transactions were to happen. That would make the top of the East really interesting. Do you believe Kawhi Leonard will be on a new team once we get to July, or will he still be on the Spurs? That's it for me. Appreciate it if you're still here. Story videos will be on the way, but when you have news popping up like this, I gotta drop my opinion, so I'll see you guys soon.